Hello friends, so in this video tutorial we will learn about SQL, how to use SQL for data analysis. So what is SQL? So SQL is also pronounced as SQL, stand for Structured Query Language. SQL is used to communicate with database. Now with SQL you can communicate with the database which we have created. SQL Structured Query Language, so its full form is Structured Query Language, and standard programming language used to manage and manipulate relational database. So it is basically to manipulate data, to update data, to insert data, or to create tables inside. We can do all the things inside SQL. So what is relational database? A relational database is type of database that store and manage data using a set of tables with a well-defined structure. Like we created table inside a database, and these databases have structured table, and structured tables means like they have rows and column, and we can create a link between these tables and we can update these tables. So all these things which we can do in a relational database. Relation means like we have a relation in these tables. A relational database is a type of database that organizes data into one or more tables with rows and columns. So tables have rows and columns. Now these tables have primary key and foreign keys. A primary key and foreign key are both important concepts for this relational database because it's very benefit to create relations between two tables. A primary key is column or set of columns in a table that uniquely identified each row in that table. So it can identify each and every row. With primary key we can identify that particular row. The primary key serves as unique identifier for each record in the table and help ensure data integrity by preventing duplicate records. So the primary key will give us some unique value to that row, and we can identify that row with the help of primary key. For example, in an employee table, the employee ID might be used as primary key to ensure that each employee record is unique. So it helps us to find out employees from an employee table. A foreign key is column or set of column in table that refer to the primary key of another table. Now we can link that employee table with another table, and when we will use this employee ID in another table, that will be used as foreign key. That refers to the primary key of another table. The foreign key establishes a relation between the two tables, allowing data to share between them. So from our primary key we will create a foreign key, and we can create a relation between two tables. So that is benefit for having this SQL. Next, like this is the process, like we have two tables here, like student ID, first name, courses, and here we have a course ID in our student table, and like in the course table we have a course ID also. So course ID in our course table is your primary key, and then we will connect it with our student table, and for that table it is a foreign key. So that's why we can create a connection between them, so we can understand how we can create a connection. So now we have to specify certain data type in SQLs. So when we will create our tables, we have to specify our data types. One of them is numeric data type, which will be defined with int. Then we have a float, decimal numbers. Then we have character data type, where we will use char or varchar, fixed length strings, and variable length string is varchar. Date and time, we will use date function, time function, timestamp. So these are the functions which we will use for creating our tables and defining them. What type of character will be put there, whether it's string like in integer, or whether it's string like varchar or date, whatever. We can even give true false also. Binary data and also within other data type is also there, like XML, JSON. All these files can be used in SQL. Next type of SQL command. Now whenever we will create our tables, we have to create table, we have to modify table, and all these things will be done in SQL. So first of all is our data definition language. So these are DDL command. These commands are used to create, modify and delete database objects such as table. So DDL command is used to modify, create and delete database objects such as tables, view, index and constraint. Example of DDL command in create, alter, drop. So these are some of the commands of your DDL. Next come your DML, which is data manipulation language. These commands are used to insert, update and delete data in database. So it is basically for deleting, updating or inserting data in a database. Example of DML: select, insert, update, delete. So these are the commands for DML. Next here, data control language. These commands are used to control access to database and its objects. So what access we want to give. So it is grant and revoke are one of the commands of DCL. TCL stands for transactional control language command. These commands are used to manage transactions in database. Example of TCL command include commit, rollback and save point. These are some of the commands. Next is your data query language command. These commands are used to retrieve data from database. The most common DML command is select. So select command is for your DQL. And now next, what is database? Like we have understand, a database is collection related data that is stored in structured manner. It is software system designed to manage, store and retrieve large amount of data efficiently. So from database we can manage a large amount of data very efficiently. We can find out records, particular records, we can update record, we can delete record, all this we can access whatever access we want to give to our users. All these things can be done with database. A database consists of one or more tables, each of which represent a collection of related data entitled. Each table is made up of columns, also known as field, and row, also known as record. Column represent the individual attributes or characters of the data, while rows represent individual instance of the data. So our table is divided into column and rows, and where rows is our record and column represent our individual attributes, like what type of data will be there and their individual, how they behave, how the data behave, all these things will be given there. Next is SQL database allow user to query and manipulate data using the structured query language. So we can use SQL there, a standardized programming language used for manipulating relational database. How to use database in SQL? Select the database once you connect to the database. So first of all we have to, when we will install this SQL, we have to select the database. Once you are connected to the database, you need to select the database you want to use. You can use the use statement. If we already have a database, then we have to use the use statement followed by the name of the database to select it. For example, to select database, my database, we can use command and then use again. Some of the example, like there are many companies who are creating who have their SQL database management system, like some of them are like MySQL, Oracle, Microsoft SQL Server, PostgreSQL. So these are some of the companies which are having some different type of MySQL database. Next here, how to create database in SQL. To create a database in SQL, you can use the create database statement followed by name of the database. You want to create the basic syntax for creating a database is like create database is the command, then you can type the name, like here is database name. How to use database and connect to the database, like we have done this all. Select the database, execute SQL command, close the connection. So these are the things which we can do when we have to connect to the database. Now how to use a table in SQL. So before using a table, we have to create a table. So this way we can create a table. Like first of all, we have to give the name of the table, like create table is the command, and employee ID is the which is integer, and we create it as a primary key. Then main name like varchar, age integer, salary decimal 10 to, like it can be in decimals also. So number of characters and decimal, like it goes up to 2. So these things we can put in our database. Now if you want to put some value here, we can do that. Like here we have insert in employees table like ID, name, age, salary. So first is our primary key, then name, then their age, then their salary. This way we can record somewhere around 4 record are inserted here. So that's way we can do. And if you want to change some values there, like if we have a table here and if you want to change them, we can update like employees set salary 65,000 where ID is 2. So where ID is 2, which is unique, we can change, update the salary. We can delete even record here, like delete from employee. This way we can delete. So that's all, and now we will see in next part how we can create table in our SQL database. Thank you.